we've gone beyond, I was upset with Rush today. I think we've gone beyond just, helping people to recognize a liberal. I mean, I think we're in a new era where our country is being taken over, and this is war. We need to think of this as warfare. Educate the public on. So let's get into what I mentioned earlier.
Well, there was a very famous conservative who wrote a book, None Dare Call It Treason, Barry Goldwater, and I agree with you. For years I've been hearing the debate: is Barack Obama just an inexperienced, inept president, or is he is he a sly guy who's really destroying America on purpose? And it's kind of hard to. There's so many areas. I mean, we talk about internationally and economically and the monetary system. There's so many areas that are in such a mess. I mean, it's hard for anybody to be that bad. So it's hard to escape the conclusion that it isn't. That it's part of a greater plan, which is you burn the whole house down and you build it according to your own socialist and progressive model. And a lot of people believe that, and frankly, I believe that it's true for lots of folks in government. Many others are just foolish dupes. They don't know, they don't care. When you talk about George Soros and Clinton and so forth, their eyes just glaze over. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to know about it. They just want to get their retirement account and move on. And of course, part of the problem is we've had these guys in Washington for 20 years, 30 years. Give me a break. I was all for term limits. I'm still for term limits. But I'm not running for office anymore, but the same statements are true. If we keep on sending the same kind of people to Washington, we're going to get the same kind of result. And it's not a good result. Yes?
There's a lot of talk about impeachment of Barack Obama, and my concern is, do you think it can be done before his 2 years are up?
I actually said that I favored impeachment when I was running for office. Can it be done? Obviously, it can't be successful because we don't control the Senate. And there are many politicians that think.
After the vote,
Well, even after the vote in November, the Republican Party will never impeach Barack Obama. Let's just be flat out clear. They're never going to impeach Barack Obama. They think they got burned when they tried to impeach Clinton, so they're not going to try it again. My issue is not so much a successful impeachment, because I don't think that's going to happen. Because even if the Democrats are thrown out and the Republicans control the Senate and House, they're still not going to do it. However, what you said earlier is true. We have to point out to the American people what is going on truly. This letter from Sessions is fairly unusual, which is why I give it to you, where he actually says, hey, we're losing our republic here. And we have to wake up to that fact. As far as I know, continually violating your oath to uphold the Constitution, to me, that's a high crime and misdemeanor, and it is grounds for impeachment. But the Republican Party doesn't have the backbone to do it, so it's not going to happen. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't have the discussion, because the American people need to understand how serious a problem this is. And if we don't have members of Congress who are willing to speak up and take the heat for speaking up, because you get heat, believe me. If you're not willing to do that, then you shouldn't be there, because going along to get along is what brought us here. And the American people are waking up, but we have to have representatives that are willing to speak up. And if they're not, then we have to move on to somebody else. Yes?
I agree absolutely with what you said and asked, except for one point. You said we need our government to educate the people.
Well, our representatives that were voting.
They need to be educated first.
Yeah.
That microphone, let's put it that way.
That's
We need to
exactly my
educate
point.
them.
I know you were coming from very fresh. I just wanted to clarify. As it is right now, the power base, whether you call it the military, industrial complex, I personally take it back to the layer of the banks, who fund all the different directions. They fund the Republicans and the Democrats at the same time. They do it through different industries and organizations. They're very sneaky. They endow the schools. You you are not going to have government at large educate the people properly. The children are not going to be taught in the schools, whether it's grade school, high school, even most private schools, but especially college. Unfortunately, they also fund most of the seminaries. So from the top down, you're not going to get it from the churches either. Right now, it has gone so far, but I also believe it's God's providence that it has to be an absolute grassroots movement where each individual prays to God and He provides the means, the support, the knowledge, the understanding, the networking, as well as funding. This country is going to go through some serious stuff. Like you mentioned earlier about the 100-year program. It didn't come about slowly. It's not going to go away easy.
Well, you're certainly right about the educational system. Some of you might listen to Dennis Prager on occasion. You know, he likes to say there's certain stupidity that you can only learn in graduate school, and that is the case. You know, we spend $100,000 to send our kids off to school, and they come back as little socialist robots. So, you know, we should have to pay attention to that. But I also believe you're right. It's not. It is a political fight. It is a social fight, but it's really a spiritual fight, and we do have to be in prayer, and we have to. There's a couple of different books out now that talk about God's providence over America, over the United States throughout its history, and it's evident. It's true. But, you know, is God's hand of discipline now on this nation? Maybe. Now that doesn't mean we should be silent. What it means is that we should help people understand that there is a basis, a spiritual basis for the founding of this country. In my office in Columbus, I have the painting of the first prayer in Congress. You know, and here they are, all the founders of our country, all various on their knees or praying one way or another. That's what this country was founded on. And when we allowed that to slip away, we lost really something that shakes really the foundations of our nation. So we really have to get back to that, and we have to be willing to speak up. And I think actually, and I say this all the time, the homeschoolers are probably going to save this country. Yes, or yes, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, there is a whole table here of books. He talks about educating. This is what we need to do. We need to take a book from this library, and we've got a month before we have another meeting.
Yeah.
You take one of these books, you take one of these tapes. Not only do you read it, but you give it to every one of your friends to read.
And that one right there, that Liberty Amendment is a very good book, actually.
You can
Yeah.
have meetings of your friends in your house, and you can discuss these. That's how we're going to educate. That's how we're going to get across the message. This is what Chuckers wants this group to be about. This is the part of what we're supposed to be doing, which is educating ourselves and educating everybody around us.
Well, and you know, and Chuck is going to do this better than me, but you know, everybody who's here tonight, when you come next month, you should bring a friend. You know,
Right.
just drag them by the hand. So you know, twice the number of people. There are no empty chairs. I mean, ultimately, we have to get the others engaged. And listen, I have people in my own family, you know, that don't want to hear about this stuff, and I'm sure you have people in your family that don't want to hear about it too, because as I said earlier, knowledge is a burden. If they actually figure out it's this bad, they might actually have to do something, and they really just want to go to the ball game or whatever. So we have to accept that that's a burden. So yes.
As far as your two pieces of legislation, because I called Columbus, yeah, you're brain, you know. Basically, a few times a week, batch helper, you just gotta keep on it. But shouldn't phone calls also be made to the chair of the committees that are actually holding the legislation right now?
Well, let's talk about that.
And we're gonna do that in the second part.
You know, see, this is where I get into trouble when I actually tell people how things work, because they don't want you to know how things work. But I'm already in so much trouble, it doesn't matter at this point. All right, as you know, all public bodies have public meetings, the so-called sunshine laws. You go to your local town hall or council meeting, it's all public. Everybody knows it's all public. Same thing down in Columbus. It's online. You can go watch the videos.